What's up, guys? It's Clint Coons here, and in this video I want to discuss obtaining financing with a land trust and still maintaining your anonymity. Okay, let's get started. Now here's the thing. I have clients that have set up land trusts, and the way we set up these trusts, if they're not using an LLC as a trustee, is we'll create a land trust here, and this land trust will be set up with a nominee trustee, and that's going to be me for many of our clients. So the trustee, it'll say Clint Coons on the trust. And then the beneficiary down here will be John and Karen as the beneficiaries of this trust. Now, I'll give you a recent example of what I did with a client. So they bought a piece of property years ago as their personal residence, and we set up this trust. It looks just like this. And they took their property, this was about 5 years ago, and they deeded it into the trust. So the property was deeded to Clint Coons, trustee of this land trust. Now, after the property was deeded, I resigned my position as trustee, and I appointed John and Karen as the successor trustees. So J and K became successor trustees of this trust. Now, the whole purpose of using the land trust in this type of scenario is that that's not part of the public record. So no one knows about this, that John and Karen are the acting trustees and that I've resigned, because that information isn't recorded anywhere. Now let's fast forward to December of this past year. So now they decided, because the property value was up, they wanted to go and refinance, pull cash out of this property, their personal residence that is held in this trust. So they called me up and they said, hey, we want to suck out equity. We want to pull out $750,000 out of this property. You're listed on title. We don't want our name to show up. So we don't want people to know, hey, we're involved with this property, because a lot of times what occurs when we're dealing with financing and trust, people will take the property out of the trust. So that what they'll do is they'll take the property out, put it back into their name, J and K, for purposes of doing the refi. After they get the refi complete, they'll put it back into my name as trustee. I'll resign again, and we go through that whole process. Well, here's the problem with that. If somebody was looking on title, what they would see is that in 2011, the property is owned by John and Karen. In 2014, it was transferred to Clint Coons as trustee of the land trust. And then 2022, it was transferred back to John and Karen in say July. And then in September, it moved from John and Karen back to Clint Coons as trustee. Now, you would think if somebody was looking in the chain of title that they could figure out what's going on here, that John and Karen were moving it to a land trust or some type of trust with a nominee trustee. At least that's what I would figure out right away if I saw title transfers like that. So we want to avoid that. What we did then is I told them, if you want to go through this, the bank doesn't know you're serving as the acting trustee right now. So when you approach your lender. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to reappoint me as the trustee. You guys are going to resign. You're going to appoint me as the trustee, so I now can step back into that role. Now that I'm the serving trustee, go and approach your bank. So here's the other issue if you want to do this with a land trust. When you go out to a bank, you're going to have to find a bank that is not going to issue a loan that's underwritten by Freddie Fannie. So they went to Mellon Bank, and Mellon Bank was going to treat it as a portfolio loan. So you want to work with community banks or portfolio lenders that are not using Freddie Fannie underwriting guidelines, because if they are, and that's the first question you need to ask, if they are using them, then this will not work. They're going to tell you you have to take it out, or you have to do a different strategy where we convert it to a living trust to make all of this go, to put it all together. So they found that lender. And what occurred then is they're going to now borrow $750,000 in equity out of that property. So when we went to closing, on that deal, lender sent out docs to me as a trustee. So they were sent to my office, had a notary come in. I signed off on behalf of the trust, pledging this asset as collateral for the loan. I did not sign the promissory note. My clients signed the promissory note with the bank, making them personally liable for the loan. Okay, they gave a personal guarantee in addition to granting consent for me to secure the asset of the trust in this transaction. So we got all that handled, signed all the paperwork. They got their $750,000. They had the funds wired to a trust account, of which I was not a signer. They're the signer on it. They already opened up the trust account when they took over as trustees. After that was done, I resigned. Were reappointed as successor trustees of this trust, and we did not lose the anonymity. So if you want to finance in a trust, here are the key takeaways of this. You have to work with a bank that is going to treat the loan as a portfolio loan. If they're a lender that's going to underwrite with Freddie Fannie guidelines, it's not going to work. So you have to figure that out. And then you need to explain to them you have your property held in a trust, and that it's held by you have another individual, your attorney, as your trustee of that trust. So it's a great way to hold property in an anonymous situation where if somebody's looking on title, they're not going to see your name, and you don't have to lose it if you're looking to get financing. If you're thinking about doing this, it's a great way to put these deals together. Wish you the very best of luck with it. If you want to learn more, there's links in the show notes. You can click on a strategy session, talk to someone at my firm that can walk you through this in detail and help you set it up the right way. Take care.